I'm gonna go back and answer some questions. You said yesterday I saw your Raw Netflix rant. Yeah, that was a rant. That was a whole rant. I'm a lot calmer now. I feel a lot better now because I've moved on from being pissed at that booking to like being happy that Liv and Dom are free, or at least looking like they are becoming free. If they're not, I'm gonna be pissed. But hopefully now we'll get more freedom for Liv and Dom where they can do their own thing without the looming specter of Rhea Ripley behind them. And I'm guessing this is a reference to Naya, but Bricola says her name ain't Rhea Hunter. Yeah, like they really showed their ass with how Naya was treated. Now I'm not the biggest Naya fan, but I do think she should at least got a rematch just because she was cashed in on. Like you could at least run the rematch, and if you want to do a fatal 4-way for Bailey, or something like that, you can. But you know, that's on them. They're just exposing themselves. Ricola says Rhea demanded that title back. That's all she could do. It was just like she was demanding the title. She was getting everything handed to her, and then nobody challenged her on that. That could have been a perfect opportunity for somebody else to come up and challenge her and say, like, hey, you're getting all these opportunities. How come we can't get an opportunity? And then it makes the other women look bad because they never did that. Like, how is it that Rhea can do that, but everybody else doesn't think to do that? You see what I mean? So everybody else has to concentrate on the Intercontinental title now, just to get some semblance of competition. Nicola says again, I'm convinced now Rhea is nothing without the title. She's not. She's gonna be like Charlotte Flair. But unlike Charlotte Flair, Charlie can look weak, vulnerable, and take, she can take hits in promos. Like, remember when she was fighting Becky? She wasn't looking all that great here in that feud. So she can at least she at least allows herself to look bad. And that's what I would give her. That's why I would give Charlie a lot of credit. When she gets in there and when she wants to fight somebody or wrestle somebody that she likes, she gets in there. Like see her fights with Naomi. I mean, she she'll do that, and she'll take a hit. She'll take a lump. She'll get a, she'll have a promo battle where she won't come out as the winner. And while her promos weren't, her promos could get repetitive too, like Rhea's, but it wasn't to the point where you could just say it ad nauseum with her. So I would give Charlie credit that. Rhea, it's just the title. She because they don't want to give her any kind of character. Like I've always said, she could have had a storyline without the title, but they don't want to do that. But when you put people where they're synonymous with the title, then it's just going to be people are just going to be exhausted. What happened to Charlie Flair is going to happen. Excuse me. What happened to Charlie Flair is going to happen to Rhea. People are going to be exhausted of her having the title or being around the title or chasing the title. Let's see what else. Bricola says again. WWE want to submit Rhea like a Stone Cold Cena Roman type, and it's going to backfire. Yeah, I mean Stone Cold was Stone Cold. There's only one Stone Cold, and only he could pull it off. And even with Stone Cold, arrive, raise hell, and leave, he was doing other shit. It wasn't like he was just doing that for like one moment on the show and then he was done. Nah, he was doing some other stuff too. He would start shit with Rock. He would start shit with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Vince McMahon. He was, having those epic feuds with Booker T in the. You remember Booker T and Steve Austin's like supermarket fight? He was doing that stuff. He was doing some bar. It's like how APA was doing bar brawls. Like they were doing. Stone Cold was doing a lot of stuff. It wasn't like he was around the title. He only Stone Cold has the title. He would have the title, but then he wouldn't have the title. And this was during the Attitude Era where that belt is constantly moved around. But when he didn't have it, he was doing something else. It wasn't like he was locked into the title all the time. Same thing with like Roman. Now Cena has a lot of titles, and that's why people got exhausted of him. But Cena, even though we have the meme LOL Cena wins, Cena would lose. When it came time for Cena to lose, he would lose. Same thing with Roman. Roman had the title, but it wasn't like he was he wasn't tribal chief Roman where he had these long reigns. He would win it for a while and then lose it. And like I said, Roman went through literal dog shit to get to the OTC character. We haven't had that with Rhea. Like she hasn't had the character where she was in literal dog shit and dog food to get to another evolution of her character. Everything has always been given to her. Roman, even though they wanted him as the top dog, he had the crowds against him. He had, booking against him sometimes. Like, remember Suffering Succotash as his promo? Like, Roman had to deal with some horrendous booking. Like, it wasn't all peaches and cream with Roman. And like I said, he had to go through dog shit. Rhea hasn't dealt with that. Galaxy to Rise says, "Hi, Maven. Hi there, Galaxy." Galaxy says, "When Liv had the title, they cared about the title. Now that she doesn't, they're too obsessed with Liv Dom." Yeah, like this would be the time for Rhea fans to be focused on their woman and that she has the title back. Why are you focused on Liv and Dom? Like he won. She won the feud. She pretty much dog walked Liv and ran over everybody where nobody else could do anything. Beat up Raquel, beat up Dom, Riptide Don, tore his credibility to shreds. She won. Focused on your woman. Like, there's no point in trying to focus on Liv and Dom fans right now, or at least Liv and Dom fans trying to exist in peace. Like, they make it where people are forced to talk about Rhea, and I think that's going to really bite them in the butt because if you're going to keep forcing everything with Rhea, like every discourse when you're talking about Liv and Dom, you're going to throw in Rhea. Like if Liv and Dom put up something really lovey-dovey, say this, they go on a date. They're putting up something really lovey-dovey. It's really cute. Maybe Dom paid for the dinner this time. You know, they're having a nice, cute date. Roses, violets, like say we see the pictures on the X. Everybody's chill and liking the pictures. Here they come. Will say something like, "Oh, this is nothing like Liv and I'm not Liv. This is nothing like Rhea and Dom back in the day." And you're just like you can't enjoy just your lovey-dovey, hold on. Like we can't enjoy Liv and Dom fans just can't enjoy just their lovey-dovey moments. It's just always somebody coming in like, well, Rhea and Dom was better, and then this starts up a fandom fight because, like, living though fans have, you'll have receipts over like, well, Rhea treated him this way, and then you could bring up all kinds of examples of Rhea not treating Dom like well and treating him like shit. I've had some responses where I'm posting about Liv and Dom, and then somebody will come on and say, well, Rhea and Dom were better, and I'll just pull up the ultimatum. I'm like, are you sure about that? Um, you know, Dom cheated on Rhea, and then I'll pull up Rhea with Damien. And I said, "Are you sure about that?" See, that's that history thing again. They make it real easy for people that aren't diehard fans of Rhea to come back anything on their fans. If they want to say that Rhea treated Dom better, any Liv and Dom fan can pull up the ultimatum. They can pull up how she said that she didn't belong to anybody, that Dom belonged to her. You could pull from a lot of sources. You could pull up that Rhea beat Dom into the Judgment Day. You can do that. So they don't make it easy on themselves. Like, this would be the perfect time to shut up, enjoy Rhea, enjoy the title. And like right now, like she's quiet. Have you seen how quiet Rhea is right now? Now that I think about it, she's quiet. Meanwhile, we're getting a little bit of we get a little bit of activity. Like right now, I expect it to probably pick up maybe Sunday and Monday, but at least with Liv and Dom, they posted they're really cute. From Dominik, we got Liv posting the pictures of her and Dom, so we've got a little bit with them. She said, "I'm still the greatest of all time, even without the title." We've got a little bit. Rhea is just like quiet. So okay, where's your gloating? I mean, maybe I'm not seeing all of the gloating, maybe, but like where? But I'm sure I would have seen at least some of that, at least by now. It's just really, really quiet with Rhea, and I'm not understanding it. Let's see. Galaxy Z Ride says Jay saw that fan art, dipped that storyline with Rhea. Yeah, if anybody knows, there's a particular fan art of Dom that was really, really uncomfortable, and I don't like to say it's gross, but that's just a piece of fan art where she had no business liking at all. And I'm like, Rhea, what are you doing? That's why Rhea gets on my nerves because I think she blurs the line with kayfabe and this parasocial relationship with her fans at some points. Because I think she feeds into it. It's like how she was feeding into people going after Dom because he raised Elektra's hand last year. If anybody remember that. Like he raised Elektra's hand, and then she was saying, "Oh, she's don't you know that Rhea would be jealous of you raising someone's hand?" And then sent people after Dom. Now everybody knows now that Dom is not chronically online like everybody else, so he was getting shit from Rhea fans just for raising Elektra's hand. Like, okay, yeah, maybe he looked at Elektra. Like, who wouldn't look at Elektra? I'm looking at Elektra. I'm looking at Elektra on SmackDown. She looked great, by the way. But who wouldn't look at Elektra? It's Elektra. She looks good. If he's sneaking a peek, he snuck a peek. It's nothing different than, and this is after the whole Jay and Rhea flirting thing. So if he's taking a peek at Elektra, it's only after Rhea and Jay were flirting. I mean, and they actually flirted. Dom taking a peek is on a whole different lesser scale than Rhea and Jay flirting. So when you get her doing that, and then she had that picture, and I'm just like, why? I mean, this is why I say that this is probably the right time for them to split because it was just getting really, really enmeshed right there. Like Dom needed to go for his own character. Like he couldn't go. It was getting to a point with Dom where it was just going to start taking him further and further down. And even though right now is not the best for him, he can at least recover. With Rhea, it was just going down, down, down because her fans always expected him just to be this subservient pet, kissing her boot type thing. And so if Jay did see those pictures, I think they did try to do like a picture of Jay, and I'm like, like, and see, she can't get this kind of subservient guy now. Unless she's gonna get pulled somebody from NXT, maybe. But then again, who wants to do that? Don doing that probably did that, and that saved his career. But that's Dom, where he's a Nepo baby, he's in a wrestling family, and he knows how the business works. I'm pretty sure he would know what to do exit strategy wise to get out of that. Anybody else, I don't think they could have that. That risks their character. And I don't blame any other guy for not wanting to do that shit. It takes a certain type of person to do that kind of role. So I give Dom all the credit in the world for doing that. And that's why I keep telling people that they should thank their lucky stars that Dom allowed Rhea to beat on him to get her to this type of character. Because if he didn't, she wouldn't have nearly the amount of gravitas that she has now. They should be on their knees, kissing Dom's feet for allowing Rhea to do that to him. But with Jay, like, Rhea didn't even get to the Waffle House. And then there's Rikishi. And I think this is probably one of the one time where I'm kind of glad Rikishi was starting to make a little bit of noise because I'm sure he saw, even though he's carny as fuck, just like everybody else is in the wrestling business, but I'm pretty sure he saw the writing on the wall. Like, he saw how Jay is taking off in popularity, and he saw that you don't want that Rhea type character on there because is she going to allow Jay to be Jay, or will the fans just expect Jay just to be subservient to her like Dom? Eric says, my question is, why are they trying so hard to rewrite her history so much? I'm guessing they don't want her to look bad, but what happens is that she has no face. She had no official face turn, not like Tiffany. Tiffany's more a tweener now, but at least you could see the buildup of her eventually going face. Roman had a lot of buildup while he's turning face. They didn't just rest on their laurels with Roman and Tiffany, where they just depend on crowd reactions. With Rhea, they just want her to stay the same because I'm guessing they think if anything's out of place, then she'll get booed. But if they people boo, people will boo. But that's a character development. Imagine if Bailey was the same type of role model character and she just became face. You think Bailey's character would work now if she didn't have like the build of damage control making fun of her and excluding her? Like, would we have the same kind of characterization of Bailey seeing how Bailey struggles with how Bianca still treats her? I don't get it myself. I don't get why they were so hell bent on rewriting her history and erasing her history. Like, if you don't want to mention her history, okay, fine, it's whatever. They could have did stuff to where they could minimize it a little bit, but still allow a story to be told. This way, it was just like the story just stopped. Like, notice how we could get an angry promo from Dom to Liv in that "I hate you" speech. Now we know that was the cover up for so Rhea wouldn't suspect him. But Dom could do that "I hate you" speech towards Liv, but he couldn't do that kind of speech towards Rhea. You see how fucked up that is? Dom was robbed of an opportunity to do a angry promo against Rhea that could elevate his character and could probably show some growth with Rhea's character. But we never got that because they just stripped all the storyline out of it, and it was just like Rhea's they're just dead weight, and I didn't need them. Like, and then now that they're saying that she was manipulated, that just absolves her of any that she did anything wrong. So Edge manipulating her absolves. How's that absolving her of beating Dom? Edge was gone at that particular point. So how are you going to keep using him as an excuse to say that she was manipulated? You see what I mean? Like Edge manipulating Rhea does not absolve her from beating on Dom. It doesn't absolve her from wrecking Liv's arm and shoulder. It doesn't recall. It doesn't absolve her of attacking Raquel and taking her out of action. Like, that's just a weak and flimsy excuse. He even said they wanted to introduce a new Netflix crowd to these characters, but fine, but the internet exists. We got an introduction, but he said the internet exists. We know Dom wasn't this type of character before. And even now, you can't even say that Dom's a character that you will warn your daughter about because he's been extremely monogamous. Like, he was dedicated to Rhea, and now he's dedicated to Liv. Do you see him flirt up a storm with anybody else, women wise? How can you warn somebody about Dom when, or at least another woman about Dom when he's been with like only two women, kayfabe wise? Now, he's been an ass to the guys, and you can warn the guys about how Dom is just this little chicken shit character. That makes sense. But just him warning Rhea about Dom. Now, this is why I say they should have just had Dom. They should have just started. Like, if they wanted to do something like this is where stuff needed to come out about what Dom has been doing behind the scenes or out of camera view. You can kind of get away with rewriting some history if we haven't seen it. You can't rewrite history if we've seen it. You can't say that Rhea was being manipulated by Edge when we see the opposite on TV. But you can say in NXT, when he was the North American champion, he was running through the whole NXT Women's Locker Room. And that could have been even like a zinger point to Rhea. While you were over there flirting with Jay, I was in the NXT Women's Locker Room. That could be like one of those zinger lines to get back. Dom could have got back at Rhea. And since he's with Liv now, that doesn't really impact their relationship so much. It gives you food for thought, but it doesn't impact it like it would with Rhea. You know what I mean? Like him saying, okay, I was dating up a storm in the NXT locker room, that impacts Rhea because he was with Rhea at the time. So you can use that to kind of retcon some history, but it doesn't go counter to what we've seen because we know that Dom was down there. I always had like a little pet theory that this is where he and Abel hooked up, because I know in the future we're gonna get that whole Stephanie Triple H type storyline once again. So who better way to get that but Dom? I think he would kill it if they ever did that. Now this is way in the future. I'm not saying we rushed Liv and Dom and end Liv and Dom to get to that particular moment, but that's a little personal plot bunny that I kind of want in the future. If you're gonna run like Stephanie and Triple H type, running company type stuff, taking over the company, boss's daughter type stuff of things, you got Ava right there. Do it with Dom. I think he would kill it. But like I said, that's in the future. Maybe a couple of years at this particular moment. Not now. Not now. But you can retcon the history, but it needs to be something that we haven't seen. That's something that can even come up for if we ever get a Liv Dom wedding, because I think we're due for a wrestling wedding pretty soon anymore. The last one was Dexter and Indy, and that was years ago. We're due for another wedding. So if we ever get another wedding, you can retcon thing and just have all kinds of women from NXT interrupting that wedding. I think that would be hilarious. Galaxy Rise says they made Cole stupid. He said he warned Rhea about Dominik. Like how? No, he never did. If you go back and listen to Crown Jewel, if you go back and listen to any of the SmackDowns where Rhea and Dom showed up prior in the leading into WrestleMania 39, he did not warn Rhea about Dominik. He was calling Rhea Dom's witchy girlfriend, and then Dom was Rhea's boy toy. And he was also saying that Dom was being manipulated, which is why I was having a problem then of them saying that. Though, if Dom is being manipulated, how? And then they were saying Dom was being manipulated and Dom was being a brat and a punk. So my problem was like, how is it that Dom could be manipulated and a punk at the same time? If he was a manipulated, that means that the faces of the WWE, Rays and all them, y'all failed Dom because Dom was left off by himself. Y'all are allowing him to be manipulated. Where's the people around that want to save Dom out of this predicament? You see what I mean? So that was my problem then. So when you come around now and saying that he warned Rhea about Dom, it doesn't jive because you were calling Rhea Dom's witchy girlfriend who manipulated him. So you just contradicted your whole commentary from 2 years ago. There was nothing to warn Rhea about. Dom was not doing anything like he was now. And even now, he's still not somebody you will warn Rhea about. This man has been with 2 women. 2. That's why I was like, why are you going to say that Dom's a slut when he has not been presented as one? If y'all want to start saying that, y'all need to start putting in some work to retcon some shit where I haven't seen it. Like I said, you can retcon stuff when you haven't seen the history or there's no history there to contradict it. So if y'all want to start going down that route of like warning people about Dom and warning women about Dom, y'all need to start putting in that work now. Let's see. Ava says, rule number 1 about shows, never underestimate your audience. They're much smarter than you think. Exactly. Crowds nowadays are much more smarter than they think, and they can't keep thinking they can just pull one over on a crowd. It's not going to work. It's going to backfire hard. It's kind of like what happened with Damien. They thought they could just have Dom be obliterated by Damien, but when you paired Liv just crying her heart out over Dom, you saw how the crowd went from yay to ooh, this is making us uncomfortable, and then it just got quiet. And then by the time it rolls around again for Damien, his pops got less and less and less. And then by Saturday Night Main Event, when they had to mention like he's from New York to get that hometown pop, like y'all went to the well with Dom too many times. The crowd saw through y'all's shit, and now Damien's got a face run where he has to go hook up with War Raiders to get their heat, and then try to possibly hook up with Rhea to get her heat or her aura. Eric Gonzalez says, for them to bring out the Undertaker for Rhea reeks of desperation. She did not need that at all. Of all the people that could use a a rub from the Undertaker. She did not need that. Like, could have tried it out the Undertaker for anybody else, pretty much. Put out the Undertaker for Dakota Kai. Like, couldn't we have like a nice little segment of Dakota Kai and Dakota Kai, Lyra, and the Undertaker? You know, that kind of a rub. Give a rub to who else was on there right now? Give a rub to like maybe let Chad Gable get a choke slam from the Undertaker. Maybe Dragon Lee gets a little rub from the Undertaker. You know, there's a lot of other people that could have did so much more with the rub than Rhea. Rhea doesn't need it. She's always getting all these little moments. What was it I saw? Somebody was saying, it was a quote like, "I get all these little moments of like Randy Orton and things like that." See, and that's that manufacturers. Like you, like Carmelo got a nice little rub from, was it Carmelo or Trick? One of them. I'm sorry, I can't remember when Undertaker showed up in NXT. I know he gave a rub to somebody. I want to say it was Trick, maybe. It might have been Trick. But you know, somebody that you want to give a rub to. You know, Heyman was giving a little rub to Ava. Paul Heyman was giving a little rub to Braun Breaker. Those are, despite my annoyance with Braun Breaker, those are the people that you want to give a little rub to. Rhea did not deserve that. She didn't need it. She's already up there. What more do you need? You need Shawn Michaels to come out there and raise her hand? Stone Cold? Like, what else does she need? Ava says, Eric, especially because The Undertaker has been praising Liv and Dom's work during the summer. He has been. It's been a nice time to, even at the risk of Dom getting a choke slam, I would take a Dom getting a choke slam from The Undertaker than what he got from Rhea. Like, Rhea's riptide out of it. Dom getting a choke slam. That's fine. Everybody eventually gets a choke slam from The Undertaker. So if he got the choke slam from The Undertaker, that's perfectly cool. It's The Undertaker. And it's a nice rub because that's a passing of, you know, that's showing that The Undertaker showed up to care about you. You know, let Dom get the choke slam from The Undertaker. You know, if I had a choice between Dom getting riptide and then Dom getting a choke slam would win every time. Let's see. Galaxy says, funny thing is, Tiffany was able to tell her history about Nia abusing her, but not Liv and Dom couldn't. Yes, like, was it, you know, cutting Tiffany too quick? But again, we're able to see the history. We saw the history. Tiffany was being treated like shit these past couple weeks. Now, yeah, Tiffany slid in there when it was obvious that she was wanting the title, but still treated badly. And then Candace, you know, amplified that. So, you know, again, as history being used to enhance the story. Let's see. Ava says, for Netflix, Nikki Bella's ex post had the most likes on Instagram. The Undertaker had the most views. Yeah, really pissed about Nikki Bella getting the most likes. And I was laughing about it. Like, it's Nikki. I know people got problems with Nikki, and I'm not the biggest Nikki Bella fan. I think I like Brie a little bit more. But it's just really funny how people were all in their feelings about Nikki getting all these views, but then like Rhea, I mean, she got high views. I'm sure she did get some high views, but not like Nikki. Okay, Eric says that was the whole issue with John Cena during the 2010 run. Oh, anybody with John Cena, that LOL Cena wins was just painful. The PG era was painful. We went from ruthless aggression era to the PG era because the WWE went public, and it was just painful. Like, just LOL Cena wins. We had a split crowd. They wouldn't pull the trigger on Cena. We had a lot of people that could be like the next face or the next heel if they just committed to the bit with Cena, and they couldn't get past Cena because he was the logjam because he played face and heel. And that was going to happen with Roman. He was splitting the crowd and was going face and heel. And if they're not careful, we're going to get the same thing with Rhea. But with Rhea, it's going to be more brutal because other women will have the support. Like, it'll split the crowd where people will boo, but you'll have other people getting cheered. Like, Lynn pull a cheer or a boo right now. But she's not splitting the crowd. Bianca cheers. Right now, Naomi gets cheered. You know, Tiffany gets cheered. Gotta be real careful with Rhea, and I think it's gonna happen sooner rather than later. Like, wouldn't be surprised if by WrestleMania we'll have a more crowd that's going against Rhea than cheering for her. Let's see here. Senor says the Judgment Day picture only Finn and Dom are serious, especially the last one. Yeah, looked like he didn't want to be there. And like I said, and since you know Dom, he does not do facial expressions without a reason. His facial expressions are always on point. So if you're looking at Dom's face, you can tell where he's going with the storyline. So that tells you that he did not want to be there. He wouldn't just have that phase for no reason. And this is not an off. And this kind of camera shot is like a camera shot where he's kind of off guard by a fan. This is like WWE official type picture. So if he's doing these kinds of facial expressions, that means that he didn't want to be there and he was upset. So this is why I'm saying I really think they're pulling the trigger. Like I said, I gotta count for Triple H's bullshit, but I think they're gonna pull the trigger, and they pretty much have to pull the trigger. You can't drag this. You can't drag out this Finn, Damian, and Dom thing for much longer, and you can't have Finn being like the total ass to everybody else either. In the Judgment Day, Kendall says Io lost to Liv and Lyra clean, and they want her to go against Rhea at Mania. Yeah, does Io look like a person that's going to go against Rhea at WrestleMania? I think Io would have been a lot more protected if she was going to go against Rhea. Like, could lose, but I think it would be more of a protected loss. Liv beat her clean, and then Lyra beat her clean. Like, how's that going to get you to WrestleMania? And I'm pretty sure, yeah, they can do something like she wins the Royal Rumble, and that's the story. But that's not a story. That's just her winning the Rumble. Everybody else coming out of WrestleMania, or not coming out of WrestleMania, everybody else coming through the Royal Rumble had a story. Cody Rhodes had his story last year. If CM Punk won, he would have a story. If CM Punk wins this year, he kind of a story. Roman Reigns, he has a story. John Cena, he has a story. Like, you see how all the stories are being set up for the men's Royal Rumble? Like, the stories that carry into the Royal Rumble match that keep you invested in watching it. What kind of story would Io have going into a Royal Rumble match? She doesn't have one. If Liv entered into the Royal Rumble match, she would have a story. You see? So, Royal Rumbles is when you get the storyline. Even going back to when Rhea won the Royal Rumble, she had a storyline kind of going into it. And then Judgment Day, the guys, we had a lot of guys. The Dom, Damian, and Finn had storylines going into there where they were in there and then they got eliminated by Edge. And see, that's another storyline that brought the storyline through the Royal Rumble because we were expecting Edge to come back and whip on the Judgment Day because they had concertoed Beth Phoenix at Extreme Rules the previous year. So, there's storylines that runs through the Royal Rumble. You just don't do the Royal Rumble without a storyline. At least not nowadays. This year, it may be a little bit different, but we do see the storylines being set up. Royal Rumble wants his title back. John Cena, this is his retirement tour. CM Punk wants his title shot. Seth might want his title shot. Dom could even get in there. There's storylines there. If Finn and Dom and Finn are at odds, and they split, they could have a storyline of them going at it and in the Royal Rumble itself. There's a lot of different ways you can take it. Galaxy Ride says, at one point we know Liv and Dom will break up. I would rather see a Liv and Dom reunion down the line later than Rhea and Dom. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that wrestling being as it is, reunions are pretty much inevitable. So that's why I'm saying we can see it. But yeah, I would prefer Liv and Dom reunion over a Rhea and Dom reunion. Senora says, in my opinion, Liv fighting for the Intercontinental title is is a downgrade for her. Yeah, I do too. It's the same thing with the tag titles. People are saying, well, she could go with the tag titles for Raquel. Why would she want to do that? I mean, she's already had the tag titles. The only time I could see her going for maybe IC or US is just to do like the Grand Slam. But even still, like, that's a downgrade for her. At this particular moment, it's a downgrade. She doesn't need the tag title or IC. It's either world champion or she's just without the title for a while. I don't want to see her in the IC right now. See, Kendall says, Liv and Dom should just cause chaos because what do they have to lose? Exactly. They've lost everything. Might as well just wreak havoc. Bonnie and Clyde. I want them to start playing up to that moniker more. Now that I keep saying Rhea, but now that there's a split, at least now that there's a definitive kind of split looks like it's happening, I want them to start living up to that Bonnie and Clyde moniker. I think it will do good. They've also mentioned Natural Born Killers, if y'all have seen that movie. So I think they could tear into and delve into that character work of Natural Born Killers and Bonnie and Clyde. Do a mesh up of those characters and just run wild. Just wreak havoc, create chaos, do all that. Thank y'all all for the likes earlier. Senor says, I need to see some kind of Liv and Dom, only them segments backstage like they did before SummerSlam. Yeah, we need that too. That's why I was saying we need to have the Dom supporting Liv and just being kind of emphasis of what Rhea did to them. He's being really supportive of Liv and showing that he's not with Liv because of the title. Do something like that. Give us those cute little moments. Give us those hotel room segments, backstage segments. Do something. I want to see them just sneaking around backstage, going into locker rooms, things like that. Funny background moments where we have to look at the screen and be watching the screen and be like, oh, look, like we were doing the build up to SummerSlam. Let's see. User says, I think somebody needs to get a single title. Maybe. I think someone needs to get a single title in the Judgment Day. If it's Dom, it needs to be Dom. I love Finn, and I hate that he never got a real shot at the World Heavyweight title, Raw title. I think Dom just needs it. Like I said, he's getting too much heat, and he has too much good character work where his segments are pulling in views for him not to have a title. He needs to be rewarded. Titles don't make the man, but this is a time where he needs to be rewarded for his work. I don't need to see him just still being on the sidelines of these people's stories and being used to get other people over. He needs stuff on his own. Senor says, unpopular opinion, Dom as NA champ was the best reign of the entire Judgment Day. It was a lot of fun. I would be tuning into NXT and seeing him mix it up with Dragon Lee. He was mixing it up with Wes Lee. He was mixing it up with Trick. Mustafa Ali before he got released. And then we had a really nice little feud with Nathan Frazier. He had a really banger feud, not banger feud, but at least a couple of matches with Ilya. I liked him and Ilya. Him and Ilya can go. And when Ilya gets to be able to come back, I need to see some matches with that. And then Dom with Carmelo. Those were some really nice matches that Dom had, and he was just being a little shit. And if you anybody remember when he was the referee and he had like the rule book and he's just pulling out rules that he didn't want to follow, and then he had his nice referee shirt. Like, we need stuff like that. That was good with Dom. Dom was treated really good in NXT until he got back to the main roster. Then everything was just like, then he went on like a horrible losing streak after that. Senor says, what would be the best scenario for Cena versus Dom? You can have Dom eliminate Cena from the Royal Rumble. If you want to get him to Mega Heat, have him eliminate Roman too. That's what I would do. If you want to set up a really quick Cena versus Dom feud, you can't just have Dom chuck Cena over the rope. You can even have, if you want to go Dom with CM Punk, you can chuck CM Punk over the rope. And then you can go that way. Or we could just have Dom start talking shit about Cena. And then we can get, this is where I want the Doctor of Thugonomics Cena to come back. Because I think that character version of Cena and Dom would have some really cool and funny promos. Because I think Dom can hold his own with Cena promo-wise. He doesn't care about shots being thrown at him, so he'll be able to take that and then fire back on Cena. And he's been doing that too. He was firing back on Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston was talking shit about Dom, and then all Dom posted in response was, "This you?" and then showed Kofi getting annihilated by Brock Lesnar. I was like, damn. Well, I think Dom could do well in a promo battle with Cena. I don't think we will have a repeat of what happened with Austin Theory when that happened against Cena. So you can just start up. You can start Dom with Cena with either just Dom being Dom and talking shit, or Dom chuck Cena over the top rope. Now, me personally, if he's in the Royal Rumble, I want him to get a whole bunch of heat by eliminating the fan favorites that have these storylines. So he's eliminating Roman Reigns, he's eliminating John Cena, he's eliminating CM Punk, he's eliminating all these fan favorites, and people are just gonna be pissed at him. Senor says, I really enjoyed the Judgment Day celebrating Rey's amigos. Yeah, that was really cute. Liv really wanted that baby and she couldn't find it. Liv and Dom are going to the Hall of Fame as a couple individually. This couple is one of those types where this will get you into the Hall of Fame. Like, you'll probably see Rhea and Dom in there as a Hall of Fame, and then you'll probably see Liv and Dom with the Hall of Fame. So they'll be in there individually and together. Hannah says, hello, Hannah. I want to see Dom as a legit threat, not super serious, but do away with making him look silly. I think that's all we want at this particular point. I think we know that he's going to be semi-chicken sheet heels because he's a heel. He could be slimy and scummy and stuff like that, but he needs to be able to be getting some wins, and he needs to be able to be taken seriously. That's why we really had a problem with him taking that riptide, because that was unnecessary, and Rhea had been beating up on him before. The riptide would have made a lot more sense if Rhea hadn't been putting her hands on him, but since she had, that was just overkill at that particular moment. Like, what's the point of going for the riptide and getting it when you've already beaten him half to death already? But yes, I do want Don to be taken more seriously, and that's why I say I think he needs to become leader of Judgment Day, just so we can give him that serious character, so he can start moving forward with some wins and stuff like that. If he does La Familia, it's just gonna be Liv and Raquel. And while I like them as a group, and I think they can be BX, I think he needs just a little bit more seriousness. DX is a little bit more silly, and maybe we can go a little bit more of a silly route, but I think for Dom, he needs to go a little bit more serious for a little bit before he goes back into a silly, or at least a silly, funny type character. He's funny now, but I think he needs to be a little bit more serious. Kendall says, Don says the Judgment Day, so it makes sense for him to become the leader. Yeah, I think that's what they're going for. He can become the leader, lead it for a little bit, and then it disbands after that, because he's the one that saved it. Because you're right, he saved it. He saved it. Kayfabe and non-kayfabe wise, he saved Judgment Day. And if because of him in Judgment Day is that we got the Damien character, the Rhea character, and Finn character. And you see how now everybody is kind of falling apart without him. He made the group, and now they can't figure out how to make it work without him. At least now here, I think JD and Carlito would be okay without Dom. But with Rhea and Damien, I thank y'all all for joining me on Tea Sessions. Please do follow me on the X at WMaven WWE. I don't know how long TikTok is going to last. I might start shifting my lives over to YouTube if I can figure out how to do it properly. So if you want to join me there, you can join me on YouTube at WriterMaven. I'll probably try and let y'all know. I'm not sure how this TikTok thing is going to go. But I'm going to try and do more lives. If I don't do lives on YouTube, I might do some spaces on the X where I'm talking, and you can join me there. But I'll let y'all know. I do thank y'all all for joining me. Thank you all for joining me for this tea sessions. I will be back on Monday. Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven WWE and on TikTok at WriterMaven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.